Ziggy's Blue Ribbon Day by Claudia Mills. Read by Devin Gio. Ziggy hated track and field day. He wasn't good at running races. He wasn't good at long jumping. He wasn't good at high jumping. He wasn't good at throwing balls. Ziggy was good at sitting still and drawing pictures, but there was no picture drawing event on track and field day. "All right," said Mrs. Hanson to her second grade class that morning. "What are the 3 most important things for us to do today?" Janina waved her hand. "Do our best." Ziggy planned to do his best, but his best was worse than everyone else's best. His best was worse than Janina's worst. Natalie spoke next. "Cheer for everyone? Even if they come in last," Kevin added. Sally turned towards the boys. "Even if they really stink," Buster shouted without raising his hand, as usual. Once, Buster told Ziggy that his running really stank. Ziggy looked down at his desk. He had just finished drawing a castle with turrets and spires. Now he was starting on a picture of a fire-breathing dragon. "Nobody stinks, Buster," Miss Hanson said, "but you should definitely cheer for everyone." Ziggy planned to cheer. "There's one more thing to do on track and field day," Miss Hanson said. "Does anyone know what it is?" Ziggy couldn't imagine. Pray for rain, maybe. "The most important thing to do on track and field day," Miss Hanson said, "is have fun." Well, at least Ziggy could do 2 out of 3. When it was time to go outdoors, Mrs. Hanson's students lined up, carrying their chairs. Taped to the back of every chair was an envelope. The envelope was to hold ribbons, one in each event. There were 4 kinds of ribbons. Blue was best, then red, then gold, then silver. They called it silver, but it was really a dull, dismal gray. Ziggy knew he'd have an envelope full of gray ribbons at the end of the day. At the last minute, Ziggy grabbed a handful of markers from his desk and crammed them into his pockets. Maybe he could decorate his envelope in between events. If it was going to have gray ribbons inside, it should be colorful outside. The spring day was beautiful. Not too hot, not too cold. The sky was a bright blue. There were lots of fluffy white clouds, but not a single gray one. So much for praying for rain. The opening event was a half-mile run around the schoolyard 4 times. The girls ran first. Ziggy cheered them on. As he did, he drew a picture on his envelope of a castle and a dragon and a knight in shining armor. He could cheer and draw at the same time. "Go, Janina!" he yelled. "Go, Sally! Go, Natalie!" Janina won. She got a blue ribbon. Sally and Natalie came in close behind her. They got red ribbons. The girls who came in far behind them got gold ribbons. Finally came the girls who had to walk the last part of the race. They were red-faced and panting and close to tears. Gray ribbons. That's my future, thought Ziggy. The boys' turn came. Ziggy could hear the girls cheering. "Go, Kevin!" Kevin was the fastest runner of the boys. "Go, Buster!" Ziggy thought he heard Natalie shouting, "Go, Ziggy!" But he couldn't go any faster. His side hurt too much. He couldn't breathe. Ziggy finished the race, red-faced and panting and close to tears. "Here's your ribbon." Mr. C, the PE teacher, handed him a gray ribbon. Of course. "Nice race," Buster said to Ziggy. Ziggy knew Buster was teasing. During the long jump, on his first try, Ziggy jumped too late. On his second try, he jumped too soon. Gray ribbon. Janina and Natalie and Sally got blue. Kevin and Buster got red. During the high jump, Ziggy couldn't make himself jump at all. He ran to the bar and stopped. "Try again, Ziggy," Mr. C encouraged him. Ziggy ran to the bar and stopped. One last try. Ziggy ran to the bar and stopped. Another gray ribbon. "Next," Mr. C called out. During the softball throw, Buster threw the ball farthest of all. Ziggy threw the ball a long, long way, but it went up into the air instead of out onto the field. It plopped down to the earth by the gray ribbon mark. "Time for a water break," Mr. C called out. At their seats, the children compared ribbons as Mrs. Hanson passed out water bottles. "How many blue ribbons do you have?" Buster asked Ziggy. Ziggy didn't answer. Janina stared at Ziggy's decorated envelope. "Wow!" she said. "Your envelope is beautiful. Will you draw a mine for me?" Ziggy hesitated. Did she really mean it? "I'll give you one of my blue ribbons." "Sure." Ziggy pulled out his markers and set to work. On Janina's envelope, he drew a castle with a princess in it. He knew girls liked princesses. "Decorate my envelope too," said Sally. "I gave him a blue ribbon for doing mine," Janina told her. "I'll give you a blue ribbon too." "Sure." It was time for the optional races. The three-legged race, the jump rope race, the egg on a spoon race, and the race on the huge hoppy balls. You could do those races if you wanted to, but you didn't have to. Ziggy didn't want to. During the three-legged race, he decorated Sally's envelope. During the jump rope race, he decorated Kevin's. During the egg on a spoon race, he decorated Natalie's. Buster came back to his seat for another drink of water. "You sure don't stink at drawing," he told Ziggy. Buster held out a blue ribbon to Ziggy. "Will you do my envelope too?" Ziggy grinned at Buster. Buster grinned back. "Put a huge dragon on mine," he commanded. During the hoppy ball race, Ziggy drew a huge dragon for Buster. When the races were over, Ziggy looked in his envelope. He had 5 blue ribbons. He knew they didn't really count as track and field day blue ribbons. They weren't blue ribbons for running, or jumping, or throwing a ball. They were blue ribbons for doing what he loved to do. Mrs. Hanson handed out popsicles. Ziggy tore off the paper and licked his. Nothing tasted better than a cool orange popsicle at the end of track and field day, when you had done your best, cheered for others, and had fun too. Discussion of Ziggy's Blue Ribbon Day. Even though Ziggy was not looking forward to track and field day at school, he cheered for others and tried his best. He didn't get any ribbons for races, but that didn't stop him from winning in the end. Ziggy did what he loved to do, what he knew he was good at, and shared his talents with others. At the end of the day, he had had fun and gotten 5 blue ribbons. We all need to remember to be like Ziggy. Even if we aren't excited about doing something, we should try our best and cheer for others. We shouldn't get mad and quit, or call others names. We might find out we're great at something, and in the end, we'll have fun too. Reflection. Claudia Mills wrote this book as a message to those children who were not particularly sporty. She was inspired by a true story of a boy who begged to stay home from his school's track and field day to avoid coming in last and having others pick on him. I think this is a great book for any student that feels they lack the expertise to excel in any activity. This book reminds me that not all students are excited about every part of school. It helps me remember I need to encourage students when they don't want to try something and praise them when they do well. Ziggy's Blue Ribbon Day sends the message that it's alright to not be good at some things because there are always other things to be good at and enjoy. It also reminds us to always try our best and stay positive.